Hey guys, it's Gareth here at Deep South Aquatics, and today I want to talk about something that I get a lot of questions on at the store I work at, and that's going to be ammonium. Well, people don't really ask me questions about it. What ends up happening is they come into the store and they say, "Oh, my fish are dying. I did a water change. I don't know what's happening." Let's test some water. So today we're going to talk about ammonium. It all starts with the nitrogen cycle. The nitrogen cycle is best found, whether or not it's complete or not, through water testing. You guys should be doing water testing before you do your water changes, especially if you've gone a while without doing your water changes. I understand everybody's got real lives, they've got things to do, and sometimes we get behind and we're not putting in the maintenance that we should be putting in. I'm not going to knock you too hard on it, but come on, guys. Let's take care of our fish. They're our animals. We're stewards to these lovely animals, and it is our obligation to enjoy them and make sure that they stay healthy and alive. That's why we buy them. This is why we do this. It's our hobby. So, ammonium. Let's start with the nitrogen cycle. Our nitrogen cycle is based on bacteria. I like to tell people that in an aquarium, we aren't keeping fish, we are keeping bacteria alive. That's the basis of the nitrogen cycle. We've got nitrosamona bacteria, we've also got nitrobacter bacteria that breaks down ammonia that is produced by our fish, fish waste, fish respiration, excess feeding, etc., into nitrite, and then that nitrite is converted by nitrobacter bacteria into nitrate. Ammonia, nitrite, nitrate, yes, they're all toxic. The nitrite and nitrate tend to be less toxic, and in higher values, nitrate can be very toxic. Don't let your nitrates get above 30. Keep your nitrates low. Everything will be happy. But what can happen is that in an overstocked aquarium or an aquarium that has not been frequently maintenance the way it should be, pH values can drop. Hey, cichlid guys, I know we got to overstock these tanks. It's part of it. It's dispersed aggression. So especially you guys and the goldfish guys. Goldfish are awesome. I love them. Not everybody likes them. They're dirty little critters, but what can happen is that over time, that pH value can slowly creep down and we don't realize what's going on. So what is ammonium? As that pH value gets too low, below 6 or below 7 in salt water, yeah, this translates to salt water, is that potential of hydrogen. Those hydrogen molecules begin to bounce around as the water begins to become more acidic. Hydrogen is the stickiest of sticky substances. It's going to really try to bond to anything and everything, and in this case, it will bond to ammonia and convert it into ammonium. So what that means, NH3, ammonia, is going to take on another hydrogen ion and become NH4+. Ammonium, totally non-toxic. And this is where things get tricky. You won't have any telltale signs of anything happening in the tank. Everybody's happy, happy, happy. But we go to do that water change without doing our water testing, and then everything starts to die. What happens is that we use water that's a higher pH value, and we will raise the pH in our tank, and that ammonium will drop that hydrogen ion once we get above that 6 level again, and we have ammonia. And what will happen is that ammonia becomes toxic again, and we're crashed. I've had that happen in my tanks in the past. It took me a long time to figure this out, but I'm sharing it with you today. So, do that water test before you do the water change. It's going to save your butt. If you haven't done that water change in quite a while, make sure you test your pH, your ammonia, and your nitrite and nitrate. The telltale sign in your test kit is that your pH is going to be below 6. A lot of test kits don't have a even lower testing range than 6, but if you're below 6 and you're showing oodles and oodles of ammonia or any ammonia present, a lot of times you'll have almost blue when it should be green on that API test kit, and everything's still alive. The next step is that nitrite. You won't have any nitrite present. Then we have high nitrates. Those high nitrates are also a telltale sign. So what are we looking for? 1, really low pH. 2, high amounts of ammonia. 3, no nitrite. 4, high nitrates. Got it? Good. So what do we do about this? This is a problem. Ammonium, because it is non-toxic, is kind of like Splenda. So Splenda is a molecule of sugar that has had a molecule of hydrogen added to it, and our bodies don't recognize it, and we just get it out of our system. It just goes straight through us. That happens with ammonium in your bacteria. What'll happen is that your bacteria that convert ammonia into nitrite can't actively do it. Your nitrosomonas can't process ammonium. It's going straight through them. They're not being fed. And what'll happen is that ammonium will starve off your nitrosomona bacteria. It's really important to use a bacterial source when we're dealing with this, something like Fritz, Turbo Start. I love this stuff. You can dose it throughout the week when we're dealing with this, or you can use something like your Stability from CCAM. There's a plethora of products out there that will help to add new bacteria to your tank. You need those. So what do we do to fix this situation of low pH, high amounts of ammonia in the tank without killing all of our fish by spiking our pH and just ruining our day? My favorite way to go about this is dilution. The solution to pollution is dilution. So we need to dilute, especially in these larger size tanks. If you guys have big tanks, African cichlid guys, you guys love those big tanks full of lots of pretty fish, you need to start doing frequent water changes with lower pH water. RODI typically comes out at about 6, 6.4. That's good enough. Start doing frequent water changes with RODI. That's not going to spike your pH above those 6s. We're going to maintain that value lower and begin to dilute it out. While we're doing that, we're also adding in bacterial source. So add that stability in, add that Fritz Turbo Start, and start to dilute it out. Once we get down to about 0.5, 0.25 ammonia, start to bring up that pH. It's going to allow that nitrosomona to start taking back over and doing its job. Make sure that you're dosing with something like Prime every 24 hours. Prime is going to lock up that ammonia, if it's present, or ammonium, along with that nitrite to make sure that our fish aren't suffering. So it'll slowly let that ammonia and nitrite back into the system and begin to feed our bacteria again, and we'll start to recolonize our filtration. Our filtration is key. It's that building block on everything, and we can get our tank back in balance. It takes a long time. By doing these water changes with RODI and diluting it out, it's a long-term process, but you can do it. My favorite way. Not many people like to do this. I love it. It's been my saving grace. If you've got multiple tanks, it's even better. What I would do is I would catch up all my fish, put them into buckets with RODI water, drain my tank, refill it with our desired pH level above 7, maybe 8 if you're doing African cichlids. Make sure it's well dechlorinated. We get that water column nice and clean again. We've taken out all the bad water. We put all good water back in, and we drip acclimate our fish over from those buckets back up to that higher pH value. Take your time. You're going from 6 to 8. It could take you about 2 hours to drip acclimate those fish back up, but they're going to be so happy you did this, and you can save your tank. The downside to doing this is that you really have to get that bacterial load back up and starting. If you have multiple tanks, open up one of your good filters where you're not having problems with ammonium and wring out that gunk inside of that filter into that tank. It will reseed the tank. Use that Fritz Turbo Start, use that stability, get that bacterial load back up and going, and use that Prime to make sure that we're not getting higher values of ammonia again. and test. I hope this really helps you guys. Happy fish keeping. We love you here at Deep South Aquatics, and feel free to ask me questions. This was a rundown for a few of you guys that have needed this information. Let me do a recap here. Ammonium, non-toxic, low pH. Don't let your pH go below 6 unless you're doing fish that require that below 6, and then let it ride. It's okay, but don't let it get above 6 and have an issue. Our fish produce lots of waste. Do your water changes. Keep up with your fish. And manage your filters. Proper management of filtration and biological support through that beneficial bacteria that processes the ammonium and ammonia as part of the nitrogen cycle is key. Water changes, regular water changes to help dilute. Solution to pollution is dilution. And avoid overfeeding, guys. That's a huge part of it. Uneaten food should be taken out of the tank. Don't let it rot in there. That'll drive down your pH. And keep up with your guys. We love our fish. All right, love you guys. Deep South. See you soon.